Hello, everyone. This is the Easy Allies podcast. I'm your moderator, Kyle Bossman, and joining us this week, Bradley Ellis.
Yeah.
Ben Moore.
Hi.
Brandon Jones.
Woo.
Brandon Jones.
Huh?
What can you tell us? What is Judges Week? What is that?
Judges Week. Look, some of us at these outlets don't have a lot of time. You know, E3 comes and we got people to meet.
Yeah.
We got places to go.
Yeah.
We don't have time to play all your games. Actually, though, a month before E3, it's really smart for publishers that are willing to come out to Los Angeles, and a lot of these events happen on the west side, which is really nice. It's close, to where I live. That they set up in a lot of these hotels and show off. So a lot of things I saw was work in progress. Some stuff I saw maybe a trailer for something that would be playable at the show. But a lot of it is before the show gets crazy and before you could possibly miss this, let me put this in front of your eyeballs so you can understand what you're looking at. So in the case of Easy Allies, how I'm hoping a lot of this stuff is going to work out, because some of these embargoes don't lift until actual E3, that some of you will go to appointments and then come back that night and say, hey, I didn't know this game even existed, but I played it. And then I'll say, so did I. I played it last month. And then I can be a part of the conversation. Or I still reference Judges Week from many years prior. There's still some games that I only played for 10 minutes, but I can talk about that I only got a chance to check out at Judges Week.
Have you ever seen someone sketchy at a Judges Week? Have you ever seen someone with shifty eyes who you think is like, what? Is this are you collecting secrets?
We all have shifty eyes. Okay. Everyone is shifty at Judges Week.
Is it quiet? Is it hushed? What is the environment like?
It depends on the publisher. It does feel bad though sometimes that you have just a really exciting game, something that you get the schedule from Keighley, and oh my goodness, look at that, that's going to be really
Keighley
great.
sends out the schedules?
Yeah, Judges Week is all Keighley.
Whoa.
And then the one after that is great, is a very exciting developer or a fun project, but you just can't, you're just buzzing. You just walk in the room, but man, did you see that? One of them was, the one people would not shut up about that day was something that you checked out, that I missed that appointment. And so I had to hear about it. All the people was like, oh God. And I was like, Ben took over for me because I was sleeping in. Thank you very much, Ben, that morning, coming back from Hawaii. And from how it sounded from the rest of them, I was like, oh man, that sounded like a really fun, not only a fun game that I'm excited about, but man, they got a lot of time with it, and that sounds like a good appointment to be at. Is there
ever a game that just out of your genre that you have to sit down and pretend to enjoy, like a intense racing game, maybe, right? It's just here. And in this year's racing game.
But that's also the best, because I have this opportunity. I have the developer right there. If I have questions, I'm like, I really don't know what I'm doing. Rome Total War, great example. That was, or not Rome Total War, Total War 3 Kingdoms was at Judges Week last year. And I'm like, boy, here's a game that I would not make time for. I would not get an appointment for this, but I'm here. It's playable. Let's do it. Jump into the demo, make all sorts of mistakes, play very horribly. Guy over my shoulder's like, yeah, I don't know. Okay. I'll let you play. But it's fun to have that experience, and fun to talk to other people. We get on the shuttle and go to the next appointment, and there's someone next to me, someone who maybe is from Canada, from the UK, someone I don't get a chance, that we know of each other. We just don't get a lot of opportunities to talk. Are you a big Total War fan? Oh, you are. What'd you think? I love having those perspectives. Cool. I think that might be my favorite thing about Judges Week, is just hanging out with everybody, just seeing people.
This is not Judges Week, Kyle, but I do have a moment that was that exactly, where it was a Konami appointment, and there were two things that you could see. And one of them we really wanted to see, and the other was we're just not qualified to do this. It was Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain and Pro Evolution Soccer.
Yep.
And it was a package deal. You couldn't get to one without going to the other. And that is nothing against Pro Evolution Soccer. It is just whatever you tell me will mean nothing to me, and I will be able to relay no meaningful information.
Was that also the year they put Usain Bolt in it for no reason?
I don't remember.
Okay.
But the guy, there was this, it was like a bar setup. And
nice.
I don't remember the guy's name, and I don't want to name names or anything, but this guy was kind of, I don't know if sleazy's too harsh, but he was he was used car salesmaning, Pro Evolution Soccer, and it was one of the funniest things. And he was like, do you have any questions?
There's no way.
No, I just didn't have any. It was worthless to be there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I went to literally the identical event at Judges Week. It was the same 2 games, and they divided us up into groups. And you could hear, like in the announcement, like Group 1 will be these, all of you people over here. Group 2 will be over here. Group 1 will go play Metal Gear. Group 2 will play PES. And you could just feel the energy. Like, damn.
Yeah.
That was also a fun event because Michael Damiani was there. I didn't know he was going to be there. We just went over where here's where you're going to be playing. Damiani already seated, already playing Metal Gear Solid 5.
Hey,
I walk up to him, creeping over his shoulder, like, what's up, man? And give him a nudge, and I just get this.
Wait.
Back to the game.
So that reminds me of like the Phantom Pain opening credits where it's like, you're going and you're doing a mission and it'll be like featuring, and then you just like Michael Damiani comes in. Yeah.
So wait, yeah, this was Game Trailers era where Damiani had left Game Trailers, right? You hadn't seen him because he moved to Texas, and then you see him suddenly at E3, and that is what he gives you back.
I don't remember. I don't know if it was before that. I think it was. I just wasn't expecting him to be here. It's not like I hadn't seen him in ages.
I think he hadn't seen him in ages
at
that
I
point.
wasn't expecting.
He had already said goodbye to all of us. I'm going to Texas.
Not unconfirmed. Unconfirmed. I do not remember the timeline. Really funny if true though.
Let's play Glenny's Cauldron. This is where our witch friend Glenny is trying to make a most vile video game and doesn't really know a lot about video games, so she trusts us to pick up the ingredients. She gives us just enough doubloons to buy 1 ingredient per week. Our patrons, of course, are selling us these vile ingredients. Our first one comes from Zeno. You can only input up to 4 lowercase letters for you and your party's names. But the default presets are all clearly over that limit while also being horrible names.
Okay.
Y2 Kyle 89 is selling that every town has a mandatory bad anime hot spring scene. And if you don't know what that would mean, Jones, as a non-anime fan, this would imply that every town that we go to, the party splits up, the men and the women, they split up to go be in the hot springs.
Oh, okay.
But eventually someone's going to peak. That's going to happen every time you go to a new town.
Dude,
someone's going to peak.
I love
This is
it.
a bad thing?
I love anime shaming Brandon for no reason. It's like, we're the weirdos about it.
Yeah. No, and not just Jones. For everybody at home,
Yeah.
I assume a lot of people hear bad anime hot spring scene and have no idea what that would mean. Yeah.
I mean, now that we've said that out loud, I have a
Yes.
feeling that even if we don't pick that and then do this game jam, people are going to put that scene in the game anyway.
They should.
But every
Right.
town,
That'd be hilarious.
Every single town, even like Endgame.
That's what makes it fun. All right, we're gonna go fight this ancient evil, but
Just
first,
to be like a long pause too. They come in just like, oh wow, look at that stand over there, cool. I'm like, well, one town doesn't have springs, so they just go into some guy's like bathroom or something, like,
man,
no, we don't
be a
have
hot
springs.
spring.
Are you sure?
As long as it's like there's a separation, there's a wall, and somebody peaks.
What
I'm
if there's
okay
like a
with that.
haunted hot spring or something like
Haunted
that?
hot spring sounds so cool, dude.
Yeah.
So wait, so there wasn't a hot springs in Dragon Quest XI because it worked well in the story and brought more to that world. They were obligated to do that, Ben?
it's a thing, Brandon.
Wait, so
Yeah.
there was a hot spring scene in Dragon Quest
It's a
11.
whole hot springs town. Yeah,
Oh,
it's like
okay,
it's like
so-
by the volcano, and they have
Does somebody peak?
It's in the contract.
There's no peeking. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember any peeking. Maybe I was playing it wrong. I could have missed it.
I wasn't like looking out for the peeking.
They'll give it a cutscene.
He like goes to bed for it.
I get a text message from Brandon. Hey, was there any peeking? I might have missed that. Do you have to do something special?
I got to play it again now. I got to be sure.
Okay, so I'm at a loss here whether we want to pick this or not.
Yes.
We do want to pick
I
this?
want it because of the theming of the hot springs. Could be
Yes.
sweet.
Okay, all right.
I'm always a fan for the persistence rather than something you have to deal with once and then move on. You're gonna forget about that name thing by the time you're done with the
Are you
campaign.
really? If your character has like a dumb name or a little 4-character name?
There's not as much as you like surviving that really tough boss fight, and then you get to the last town you haven't been to, and just like, oh, it sucks that that one character died, that we lost them, Anyway, let's head over to the hot springs.
And someone still peaks.
Yep.
They've reached their emotional climax,
Like-
but then there's still like some weird horn dog.
The
said he was
20th,
weeping
the
while he
20th
peeks.
time you do it, and you hear the line like, "Oh, it's so nice to get away from the boys." Oh,
Yusuke.
Baka!
Okay.
I want more towns. We have to have at least 20 towns now.
Y2 Kyle, we took the
Yeah,
bait.
that's awful.
We're buying your ingredient.
We're trying to make awful games, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
And to be clear, we are going to do a game jam. We're going to do 2 more weeks of Glenny's Cauldron, but there'll be categories the next 2 weeks. And then after that, after we've picked that final ingredient, the game jam will begin. We'll have a month to make either Kasarar's game or Glenny's game, and then we'll judge them. The community will judge them, and then the winners will get streamed. We'll play them. Cool. And I have to be honest, the way I was picking ingredients toward the end, once we decided to do the game jam, I was like, could we do that in a game jam? You know what I mean? I was like trying
last
to
week's was brutal. I don't even remember what it was last week, but I remember thinking at the time when I was cutting the podcast, like, ooh, that is a challenge for a developer to actually put that in there.
Kyle,
Yikes.
yeah.
if you ever really get lost for opening segments for this podcast, you explaining anime tropes to Brandon would be very funny.
Ben, that could be its own podcast.
It could be. That could be its own podcast.
School trip for the next one.
Yeah. Tsundere. Let's do corrections. Begin corrections music, please. So, the weird Capcom DLC was for Dead Rising 3, and it's called Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Remix Hyper Edition EX plus Alpha. There are bosses in Dead Rising 4, but they're not called psychopaths. They're called maniacs instead. Maniacs are a bit of a downgrade from psychopaths. They don't have cutscenes introducing them, and the fights are similar in design, more like fighting an AI bot than a proper boss. The game developers of Friday the 13th were not sued. The owner of the rights of the franchise, Sean Cunningham, who was also the director of the original film, was sued for ownership of the rights by the writer of the original film, Victor Miller, who won the court case, and then the developers were forced to stop updating the game afterwards. Juicy. So they got the rights legit, right? They went to the person who owned them, but it turns out that person did not, in fact, own them.
It's unfortunate.
Whoa.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Wild that it took that long to settle that, considering they were both involved in the original film.
I know, why now?
You were waiting on this weird video game to then drop the hammer?
I guess so.
Crazy.
People are better.
When they smell money.
Yep.
No.
We talked a bit about last week in one of our love and respect questions about games having broadcast modes, and some people brought up some cool things. That Gears of War has a Sparks and censored language mode. Didn't know that. They've had that since Gears 2. And Black Ops 3 has a disabled graphic content thing. But also, want to address a bunch of comments. You know, we can end corrections music here because it's not much corrections, but it's like we got to talk about this because I think this is bizarre. Okay, Ben, Brad, Jones. We had a comment from a father who said hey, when I'm playing God of War with my kids, I think they were aged 10 or 12. When they're 10 or 12, I don't want to go through that sex scene with them. And then we got hundreds of comments that are oh. So ripping off a Cyclops' eye is okay, but sex, a natural, beautiful thing, isn't? And it's just what? Would you want to watch that scene with your dad?
Right.
When you're 12 years old, you want to watch that scene with your dad? No. And so I'm having a hard time dealing with this thing. Because this was the children and the father playing a game together, and I totally get why you would not want to rotate an analog stick to pleasure a woman with your child right next to you. And I don't is this simply is that a US thing? Is that cool in Europe? Is that
We're not in Europe. There's no way to say.
Is it just look, son?
Let us know.
Very cool in Europe.
I pleasured her, son. It's what?
What?
The birds and the bees conversations, just them playing God of War.
Even non-interactive. I remember the sex scene in Time Cop. I went to go see Time Cop with my buddy Jeff and his dad, and just having his dad there in the row in the theater was
Okay, yeah. And so to really get into it, to be violence is fine, it's just those scenes are intended to arouse. That is what they're intended to do. It's not simply sex is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Yes, I agree. We need to procreate. We need to do things like that. But
not what I was expecting on this podcast.
Not next to your family. Not next to your family.
I mean, I do agree on some very broad and basic level.
And I think that's what most of the comments were about.
Probably the United States is more weird about sex than they should be in comparison to how they are about violence.
Yeah.
Yes.
But a lot of sometimes comments like act like they're the first person to ever like come up with that idea. Like,
Yes.
whoa, so you're okay with this, but not this?
Yeah.
That's like trying to make it something that it isn't. I agree with you where it's like, hey, he's the father's just like, this makes me uncomfortable. I don't really want to experience that with my son. He's not saying like, yeah, violence. That's not what he's saying. It's a very individual experience, and that's all that he's commenting on. He's not trying to make some grand statement about either of those things.
Yes.
It's also corporate censorship versus personal censorship. Like a broadcast mode, I mean, you get to change these settings for yourself.
Yeah.
So whether they're available or not, that's not, altering your experience.
Actually, in the comments, saw a lot of support for a broadcast mode. It would like help a lot of people out.
Yeah,
if a lot of
sure.
games just had like, bloop, make this okay to stream, okay to air, whatever.
And in a streaming sense, it's nice to just turn off music, to have those options, whatever they are.
Yeah.
It could be all sorts of stuff.
We have a jam-packed episode this week, one in which that I should not have started off with fluffy stuff. We should have gone straight to the news this week. We have 3 more episodes until E3 begins, so we're going to do our E3 previews, but we're going to start with some hot news. There's too much hot news to ignore to skip straight to E3. Our hottest news is a rumor regarding the next game from FromSoftware.
Oh, the hottest news,
This
Kyle.
is the hottest. Brad, what do you know about this? Give me a
I've
scoop
heard
here.
2 things about it. One
Okay.
is that George R. R. Martin is like consulting upon this project. It could be a Game of Thrones game, and I've heard also that it's like takes place in the northern kind of vibe game.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe like Vikings, Norse gods, something like that. That's pretty much the gist of I know. Open world, something about horseback riding. That's all I know.
But you're stoked on this.
Hell yeah, I'm stoked.
All right, let's get through the timeline on this. So the reason why we're talking about it this week is that Game of Thrones finale happened. George R. R. Martin, creator of Song of Ice and Fire,
Correct.
nice, wrote a blog post saying like, look, dudes, I'm fine. I'm good. It was like, and so in that post, I want to read a quote. There are these short films I'm hoping to make, adaptation of classic stories by one of the most brilliant, quirky, and original writers our genre has ever produced. I've consulted on a video game out of Japan, and then there's Meow Wolf, and then that was the end of that paragraph. By the way,
What's Meow Wolf?
it is really cool, Brad. It's in Santa Fe. They're making one in Colorado and one in Vegas, but it is like an experience house. It's like dude, Brad.
Experience House?
Yes, dude. It is. It's like I'm so glad I knew nothing about Meow Wolf until I walked into Meow Wolf. You get it if you're in Santa Fe.
Wait, you've been to a Meow Wolf?
I've been.
What is a Meow Wolf? What is it? What is an experience
I
house?
almost brought it up
One
on
cannot
Frame
be
Trap.
told
I
what
almost
Meow
brought it
Wolf
up
is.
because
This
it's
is
like
the kind of stuff you should bring up Frame Trap.
there's like a real life video game in like a rented out bowling alley that George R. R. Martin consulted on and turned into like an experience house.
What does any of this mean?
It's called Meow Wolf.
What do you do?
Brad, you walk in, you collect the clues, dude.
Are you serious? It's a scavenger hunt?
It's not. It's a narrative experience.
Yeah.
It is insane.
Okay.
You know what it is?
I've done stuff similar to this.
Cool.
And I want millions of
Experience House
experiences
is like
that.
the
Yeah.
most vague thing you could possibly say.
Dude, but I
there
want
are-
to keep it.
They're actors, right? I'm assuming there are
Zero actors.
No actors.
Well,
Interesting.
Did you join a cult?
Yeah, what happened?
One W or 2 W's?
But anyway, prior to that, there was a rumor from a YouTube channel called Spawnwave that said that George R. R. Martin was writing on the next FromSoftware game, an open world fantasy game. And so then when this popped up, this post that said I've consulted on a video game out of Japan, that was enough for other sites to say, okay, we heard some stuff too. If Germ is going to go out there and say that, we're going to get in on this too. Let me give you some of Gematsu's reporting. A person familiar with the ongoings at FromSoftware has told Gematsu that the project, said to be known internally as GR, Gematsu has asked to only share the acronym, and in development for the past 3 years is an open world title with horse riding, as Brad said, and collaboration between Hidetaka Miyazaki and George R. R. Martin, published by Bandai Namco, which will be officially announced at Microsoft's E3 2019 press conference.
Hot.
How could you not be excited?
That's hot.
Yeah, I do. I like, man, this would have been just the craziest E3 announcement. It sucks that it's got to come out this way, but like that's
From software, dude. All
Yeah.
their stuff gets leaked.
Yeah.
So I hear you, but I feel like unlike maybe other things, knowing about this doesn't make it less special to me.
That trailer, man, is going to be,
You know,
yes.
you know who
Yeah.
this hurts? Not From Software. Anyone else doing anything with horses at E3, because the trailer starts and some guy rides in on a horse. Is this it? Oh, it's not. Oh, okay.
You're so right.
Well, I would be excited for this, but now I'm kind of bummed.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was.
That Norse
Whatever this game would be,
Assassin's
yeah.
Creed game, huh?
Yeah.
Ubisoft. Oh, yeah, you're so right, Johns. I want to add, before we delve even deeper into this, Games Radar had some details. I didn't know, it was unclear where they got this stuff. It seems like it started with Games Radar. That in addition to the Norse mythology, some details about like killing kings and like how you actually progress through the game. And the title, GR, they're not scared to share.
Something rune, right?
Great Rune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Killing kings, huh?
Killing kings, baby. So yeah,
Yes.
You don't like how Game of Thrones ended? Well, now.
yeah. Go nuts. Create your own ending. That's the power of games. I think this is gonna be a huge game. I think this is gonna be enormous.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, they said worked on for 3 years
Yeah.
already.
That thing's probably ready to pop soon. It's just that's a
Probably
dream team.
next year. It seems like.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being Miyazaki and just being like, well, everything I do is good and it just keeps coming? Like, what a position.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
The hits just keep coming, dude.
Yeah.
It's like the Beatles just cranking them out.
Like, and
Yeah.
the thing is for me, like, we just got done with Sekiro, which I very much enjoyed.
Yes.
And now we're building up to this.
Like From Software, dude, just pumping these games out with such high quality. It's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, not much to cover on this story. There's not like it's just none of that makes me less excited for the game. Every new detail is like cool. Norse mythology. I think we talked about it with with Assassin's Creed, right? And it's obviously going on strong with God of War, and so there's a little less intrigue to it.
I do
finished
think
Too Human.
the open world part is interesting. Like, how does that translate, especially for From Software?
Yeah.
How is that going to affect things like combat? What are you going to be doing in that world? Like, it's I don't know. I think anytime you say open world, I wouldn't say I get scared, but I'm not like, oh yeah, of course that's going to be great. Like,
Yeah.
it's not an assumed thing for me.
A Souls-like open world, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I have no fear. I have no fear for this game.
I want to know more.
Zero fear.
Jones, you have any fears?
No, not at all.
Okay,
Super
all right.
pumped.
Yeah, you
Zero
know what?
fear.
Yeah. Oh boy, oh boy.
Zero fear.
It's a busy week. Let's just move on. No fear for that game. You know what I mean? It's like, cool. Bummer that stuff leaked. But I mean, George R. Martin did it himself in his own post. He said, hey, I was in Japan consulting on a
What are
game.
you gonna do about
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Whenever you say consulting, like, I really wondered what does that mean? Like, how much work did
How
George
much
R. R.
he was
Martin
working on the story,
actually do?
probably.
Does it really matter in the end, though?
It doesn't. Like, if it's bad, like, oh, I stopped in it for a few days. And if it's good, like, I really helped them create the foundation for it.
Right.
Great Rune.
I pitched the idea.
Yeah. Is GR, the code name, a coincidence?
Probably.
Okay, all right, just making
Funny
sure.
though.
All right. Okay, next story is just huge too. That out of nowhere, Sony and Microsoft showing up, CEOs shaking hands. What's going on here? What is this photograph here? Even that,
Look at it. Nice.
it makes me laugh. And so I like you think, okay, so like what? They're just like their tech halves are no, like their gaming companies are working together. And so I want to give you what I copied was from Yahoo Finance. I like their perspective on this because it's strictly business, baby. So I want to introduce this story to everyone at home through Yahoo Finance. Microsoft and Sony Corp, two dominant names in the gaming console industry, recently signed a memorandum of understanding. I had to Wikipedia that. Wikipedia says a memorandum of understanding is a more formal alternative to a gentleman's agreement. Basically, it's like a contract that has no binds to it. You can't break the law by doing anything that's outside of that memorandum. It's kind of just like, hey.
Yeah.
want to work together, but like not be bound to anything.
This makes high-level business sound really fun.
Yeah. Yes.
Like
it does.
imagine what, like, you know, you get in your inbox where it's like, oh, cool, another coupon of Domino's. Like, these guys are waking up and they're like, hey, man, you want to do this memorandum?
Yeah.
That's way more. It's like you're being in a fantasy book.
But I think you. It's like that. I feel like you start with contract though, and then like it's like some things break down, and then like you go back to the memorandum.
They went out to eat. They're eating steaks.
Yes.
They're like, hey, let's just be relaxed about this. They probably got a few drinks in them.
Steaks. They probably killed a whole hog and like roasted over the fire
on their islands. Yeah, I mean, like this has apparently been in the works for a year. Around a year. What was interesting is that shortly, you know what, I should keep reading the article. Per the deal, the companies will explore the utility of Azure cloud computing capabilities to provide immersive gaming experience to the end user. Woo! Basically, Sony wants cloud gaming. They kind of have it with PlayStation now, but they see the writing on the wall. They see Google saying like, hey, this is the future, and they're like, you know what, you're kind of right. So they went to Microsoft. They saw Microsoft as their best option for a streaming service in the future. What I thought was kind of cool is Bloomberg wrote an article shortly after this. Let me give you their headline. Sony's deal with Microsoft blindsided its own PlayStation team. Yeah. So apparently, the PlayStation team, a lot of them did not even know this was coming. It was like top brass in on this agreement. Top brass in Tokyo, says Bloomberg. But I thought this part was really interesting from them, saying that by 2023, 2% of gaming revenue will come from cloud gaming. Basically, even in 2023, cloud gaming is not going to be the. And this is a plan for deep future. This is not a PlayStation 5 plan. This is not, Xbox Scarlet thing. Like, this is. They're making this memorandum right now so that like deep in the future, when cloud gaming becomes the future, they're prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it weird to see these two companies work together?
I think it's less weird than it used to be. These things aren't necessarily like explicitly connected, but I feel like on this podcast over the last 12 months or so, we've had a lot of stories that have felt similar in tone to this, where it's like, hey, Microsoft is really pushing cross-platform play. Hey, Microsoft is talking to Nintendo about doing stuff on the Switch. Now you're getting this story where it's like Sony and Microsoft working together. And so I do feel like we keep getting these stories of Microsoft trying to work aggressively with other people that maybe they wouldn't have in the past.
Do you think it's a push from Google? Do you think it's a push from outside forces? From Apple saying we got streaming coming? Is it
maybe?
Yeah, I mean, that always happens, right? Like, whenever there's this new advent of technology, you have, like, the people that are coming out with stuff or leading the charge, and you have other people being like, well, okay, we need to put our business over there. How are we going to do that? Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. To me, it's kind of future news. The news that we had from this week is that both of their stocks rose. Sony had other good news to announce on that day, so you can't say like this directly correlated with their stock increase. Stock buyback. Explain it to me someday. But anyway, Sony stock went up, Microsoft stock went up. It was like well received, and yeah, I don't think we'll see the fruits of this for years to come. So interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot about what companies they specifically want to lock down that are willing to invest. Like obviously Ubisoft is invested with Google. That was a phone call that went well. Google called Ubisoft and like this is a multi-pronged campaign. Like we want to use Odyssey as an example of something we can talk about before we even announce Stadia. And then when we announce Stadia, we would like you to be there, showing off the game and showing your support. And I wonder if it's not necessarily going to be a question of like, what service is best, what runs the best, because a lot of that is circumstantial in terms of like what network you're on, or I imagine all of that is in flux as this technology advances. I wonder if it's really Sony and Microsoft specifically being like, let's lock down as many names as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Like Sony's like called Insomniac and be like, don't you dare, like don't you leave, And so I wonder if they realize like there's just so many companies in between us that like you don't own, we don't own, we're not going to own them in this instance. But once they see us partnering together, they're going to be like, I'd much rather work with, if I'm a third party, I'd much rather work with these known entities on consoles that I know and trust rather than this new interesting thing that like you were saying, it's future proof. We're not there yet.
Yep.
So Stadia is exciting, but like, is it going to be huge right when it comes out? I don't know. So it's probably really scary to invest in something like that out of the gate.
Sure. Also, this deal could fall apart in a second.
Yeah.
No obligations. No strings attached, baby. Juicy rumor. Straight from Jason Schreier. Is he not the MVP?
He's Juicy Jason.
Juicy Jason, I feel like he's the MVP. I feel like I would have half as many podcast topics if not for
He's
that
got the
single
scoops for
human.
you.
He's putting the logs on the fire, for sure.
Yes. Here's an article published on Kotaku this week. Sources: Call of Duty 2020 in upheaval as Treyarch takes over, plans Black Ops 5. So here's the details from this, the Cliff's Notes. First of all, we all are expected to just accept at this point that Modern Warfare 4 is this year's Call of Duty. That Infinity Ward is working on Modern Warfare 4. It's just like, get over it, people. That's what's happening. It's like, okay, that's like the least interesting part of this whole thing. So we're talking about 2020's Call of Duty game. The cross-gen one, the one where we have new consoles launching. This is the game that we'll be playing. So Raven and Sledgehammer were working on that game together. These two development studios, Raven in particular was kind of like backburnered for a long time. Used to be a great studio on their own, then just kind of like made maps and support. And so it was kind of exciting that they would team up with Sledgehammer. I think they were like leading it even to make a whole Call of Duty game on their own. Maybe alleviating, the cycle that Activision has with Call of Duty games. That was going on until recently. By the way, they were making a Cold War game. Their game was going to take place during the Cold War.
Oh.
Yeah. Kotaku suggested some like strong Vietnam element, but yeah, that's cool. Cool time period. Neat. Spy stuff. Let's do it. Okay. So they're not leading the project anymore. Treyarch is going back in. Treyarch just released Black Ops 4 last year. So they're going to go on a 2-year game cycle. Apparently they're not super stoked about it.
Right.
But Schreier also talked to someone who was stoked about it because at least they know. At least they know exactly what that game is going to be, and they can work just on that for 2 years. Whereas I think Black Ops 4 was kind of a mess the whole time. By the way, the campaign for Black Ops 5 will take place during the Cold War.
Which does make sense for Black Ops. That's where they started somewhat.
Right, but then we went deep future, dude. Yeah. So, I mean, like, they're just basically taking the campaign that Raven and Sledgehammer were already, like, deeply in progress of and putting that into Black Ops 5. Whatever. Hey, who cares? It's cool. So, I mean, we can just start there. Actually, I want to include this last paragraph, which I think is the juiciest part, and then we'll kind of disseminate on this stuff. One primary reason behind this Call of Duty upheaval, according to two people familiar with happenings at Activision, is the tension between Sledgehammer and Raven, whose staff are said to have argued frequently during the past year of development on Call of Duty 2020. Two people familiar with the project described it as a mess. So those two studios did not get along. And that's basically why Treyarch is stepping in on an off year and like having to like wrap this up. That's pretty nuts.
Activision put them on timeout.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty nuts. I mean, it's kind of similar to what we were seeing with Anthem's teams, right? Where just like inter studios are like thinking of themselves as different studios and better than or less than. Presumably, that is all we have for Raven and Sledgehammer. Nothing beyond that. But yeah, I thought that's crazy.
Yeah.
That basically you lost your game because you're in disagreement with each other.
It's crazy, yeah. Couldn't see eye to eye on anything.
Well, it's more than that, right? It's not just that they're fighting with each other. They're fighting with each other, and that is hurting the quality of the thing. And we need to make a decision.
Yes, and I don't doubt that Activision made the right decision. It's hard to have two creative teams like that working on one creative project.
Right. I feel so bad for Treyarch.
Yes. Yeah.
Everybody kind of got screwed in this one. I often wonder that though, when like a game that I'm not that familiar with, when I'm playing it and like 4 logos flash by, it's like, how'd that work? Like I always wonder, like, it'd be nice to have a little subtitle there, knowing like who did what, But that's got to be tricky, especially for something where I imagine you have to have a very clear vision, a very clear directive, because like, this is Call of Duty, we got to be on time. Like we cannot put this off. And so I wonder if that was less about like really crazy creative decisions and more like, we have to do this a certain way because we don't have time. Like we don't have time to deviate. Seems kind of gossipy though. This one's a little weird. It's weird saying these two companies are fighting without having any idea. Because with the other thing about Anthem within BioWare is they would illustrate very specific points that were difficult. You had the engine.
Here we just have that paragraph.
You had creative leads. You had the writers that were trying to figure out what to do with the plot. You had the nature of the game itself, which is something this industry is still trying to figure out. I think Ubisoft's taken the lead with Division 2 this year, but. Just being like, they didn't like each other. It's like I need a little more information before I'm really going to sink into that one. But
sure. And like you're right, for the sake of this podcast, we shouldn't sink into that point further.
Good. I want both of these companies to rebound.
All three.
And if there's this rumor, Raven's tough to deal with. Like, based on what?
I know. Yeah. That's Jones. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that point up. I truly appreciate that. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to say, like, it really is crazy thinking about it. Where, like, man, hats off to Treyarch because no one is coming out with stories that feel as big or consequential with the rate that he is coming out with them on. So
yeah,
it's
one regret I had from last week.
impressive.
Actually, we had 2 stories from Variety that were very good, and I forgot to mention that Variety is unfortunately the gaming aspect of Variety is shutting down post E3.
Post the day of E3,
Right.
Literally the last day of E3. When E3 closes, so does Variety Gaming.
So that was a huge bummer because I think Variety's been doing some good work, man. Polygon does absolutely, but nothing on Schreier scale.
man, Call of Duty is in a weird spot, and it feels like it's getting weirder all the time.
So we touched on that a little bit too. Apparently, Activision's not super stoked on how much money it's making currently. Sold great, but then like revenue,
Of it, yeah.
And like we'll move on to the next point from there is that also in this article mentioned that there are people within Activision considering free-to-play components for 2019's Call of Duty game. And there are people within Activision pushing back against that. So we're going to see who won that battle come this fall.
I mean, for a very, very, very long time, Call of Duty was operating in a space where it didn't have any competition that was on its level. And that's just like not the case anymore. And it's made the way Call of Duty is releasing and monetizing feel very weird. And like that feeling is only going to get worse unless they do something to change it.
Do you mean like the season pass map pack thing?
Yeah, I mean releasing at a $60 price point every year with the DLC in this way. Like I don't see that being a model that's going to grow.
Yeah.
No matter what direction they take the game, like that, I don't think people are going to respond to that anymore. And so I think they have to just fundamentally change the monetization.
There's too much to pick from now.
Yeah.
There's too much to pick from, and a lot of it is getting updated more frequently and at a cheaper price.
Yeah, look at Fortnite. It's just
right, exactly.
constant.
And so, the weird part is, if you're a business, if you're Activision, hey, we made a ton of money off Call of Duty last year. We made, buku bucks. But it's like, how long do you ride that out before you make the change? Because, hey, they could put out another $60 game with another dumb Season Pass map pack. They will make a lot more money. Oh, not more money, as Ben said. They'll make a ton of money, though. They'll be number 1, number 2 of the year. Right. And so how long do you do that until, like, people won't return to you the year after? It's tricky, I think.
I don't look at Guitar Hero.
Yes.
Like, how long did that take?
Like, that was a crash, man. Because they were trying to ride it out. They were trying to be responsible, and then it just sank.
But what was the thing that was most talked about with Black Ops 4? Like, without question.
No campaign?
No. Well, okay, yes, but I mean, like, the thing that it actually released with.
It's Battle Royale mode.
It's Battle Royale mode.
Yes.
Like, regardless of how you feel about it, that was the thing that dominated attention.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that took the biggest shift. And so, like, I see what you're saying. Like, if we're going to keep making money, why not just keep doing it? But on another level, I feel like you have, like, very immediate examples of let's just do something. Like, let's go after something that we think would be more lucrative.
Yeah.
Make Call of Duty free to play. Like, I'm not saying that I would personally enjoy these decisions, but from a business perspective, I don't see why you wouldn't do it.
Yeah, because they could just make their Battle Royale mode free to play. Because, like, every other Battle Royale is free to play.
Yeah.
Like, all of them. All the hugest ones are free to play. But they're charging you $60 to play it.
How much is Apex? Is it 30?
Apex is free.
Apex is free, man.
Yeah.
You're right. Apex is
Like,
free.
everything
Yes.
is free in Battle
Yes.
Royale.
Yeah.
Man, Brad, I feel like this year's game would have sold worse if not for that. But
What if it had Didn't have Battle Royale?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, probably.
On the other hand, though, you would have made more money. They're concerned about their revenue across the year. They would have made more money off a free-to-play Battle Royale.
I don't know, and it's like...
I get what you're saying.
For me, it's hard to get invested in a Call of Duty game because there's a new one every year.
Yes.
So the site, like, it doesn't last. You buy your microtransactions in this, and you got it for one game, 1 year.
I've had that exact feeling with multiplayer where it's like, all right, cool. I've had fun with this. I've played it. I like some of the new changes that they're making. But then you get to that point where it's about the grind, where it's just, all right, ranking up and doing that treadmill, and you're like, I'm just gonna have to do this again next year.
Yeah,
like
it's a little demoralizing.
It does. It demoralizes you because it doesn't feel special anymore.
Yeah,
it doesn't even. It just feels like nothing because you're just gonna start over all over again.
Whereas I guess like in something like League of Legends and CS:GO,
yeah,
right,
been going for years.
Yes.
Like League of Legends has been going for like a decade or something like that.
And my skins still work, baby.
I think it's
that generates loyalty.
Yeah. I totally get that. So yeah, I mean, if they go free to play, I won't be surprised, and I don't think I'll complain. I think when we cover that story on the podcast.
Oh yeah, Call of Duty Battle Royale. Just release that. Have that be its own standalone thing.
Yeah.
Have all of the Call of Duty developers work on it in some way. Creating skins or modes or something. Have that be a big collaborative effort that we just will have forever. It'll be free to play, and we'll just add to it forever, and it'll.
I don't think people care about just multiplayer the traditional sense that they had of like deathmatch and stuff before as much because everyone wants to just play Battle Royale now.
Yeah, so that's my question to the panel: is if we have this really cool free to play Call of Duty, do we keep making yearly campaign plus multiplayer games for $60?
Well, the only thing for me is, I honestly don't know where we're at in like the shelf life of Battle Royale. I mean,
Sure.
I think what made Call of Duty such a commanding presence with Modern Warfare, in particular, what made it blow up so much is that it felt so forward thinking. Is that it was leading the charge. It wasn't chasing after the trends, and so I don't know. On some level, like maybe do Battle Royale right now while people are excited about it, and you can still get something out of that. But try new things. Like, how much attention would you get if it's like, hey, Call of Duty is doing a new type of multiplayer?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that's easier said than done, coming up with a brand new concept, but I don't know. I think just doing Battle Royale is not a long-term solution either.
I hear you. But there's room, I feel like, for maybe one or two type of these games.
Sure.
Like shooters. Like with MOBAs, there's Dota and there's League, and like that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Right now it's Apex and Fortnite, like... What was the other one?
PUBG.
PUBG, like, I don't know how well it's doing. I'm sure it's, like, still there and fine.
PUBG is still doing great, but
yeah. But yeah, I'm with you, Ben. Like, I would love them to, like, chase something new, but it is so hard to just come with that concept.
Right.
That's what I'm hoping Halo Infinite kind of is.
What?
I feel like, because, like, Halo was, like, the like console multiplayer game when it came out. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I feel like the hype for Halo, like people still love Halo. I'm not like doubting that or anything, but I feel like the general consensus of it is like excitement has gone down.
Yes.
Especially with 4 and 5 and stuff like that. Like I'm hoping Infinite brings something to the table that makes like them stand out.
Oh, you mean like a mode?
Yeah, like where they're not necessarily chasing something, they're introducing something.
Cool.
Like of course that's super hard to do, but that's what I'm hoping they do.
I think they thought they had that with that card mode.
Yeah.
They like thought they had it. They really thought like, oh, we cracked it, and like they're thinking. They're at least thinking, Brad. They want to give you that thing.
Of course they do.
But that thing is so hard to.
I know it is.
You basically just have to copy it. You have to see PUBG doing it, and you have to copy it as fast as possible. I really think that's what you have to do.
Yeah, it's like people saw what DayZ was doing, kind of stuff like that, and like built off of that kind of foundation.
Well, right now, I would copy Dota Chest as quickly as I possibly could.
I mean, the thing is like,
it's like
these like Halo is a good example, and Call of Duty is a good example where I imagine from their perspective, they're also chained down to the legacy somewhat.
Yes.
Where like what we talked about aggressively on this podcast was, well, how do we feel about there not being a campaign, and like because that was an expectation.
Yeah.
There are so many expectations with these series, some of them big and some of them small, but if you don't have them or you don't do them or you change them, that's going to upset people, and that's something you constantly have to think about. And so I really think like the only way to capture the magic again and to create something on that level is it can't. I don't know if it can be Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if Call of Duty is ever going to take over the world in the way that it did before. It's going to be something else.
It's a good point. Activision could use like a new franchise.
Right.
Go for it, dudes.
Right.
I'm sure it's been pitched. I'm sure each of these studios is like, hey, it's an elephant hunter game. And they're just like,
no.
Yeah. I'm sure it happens.
I'm sure this is
so
like
hard to fund.
Elephant hunter game.
I'm sure this is underthinking the problem, but I mean, with Destiny, part of the excitement was this is what Bungie is doing after Halo. Could you do that with Treyarch, where you could say like, hey, from the makers of Black Ops, here's this brand new thing that's way different. But do you still have some goodwill there because it's Treyarch?
I think you could.
Yeah.
I totally think you could. Especially if you have, 4 studios working on Call of Duty. Give one of them a chance. Mm-hmm. Do y'all hear that? Oh, it sounds like it is podcast halftime!
The following are the official sponsors of Easy Allies for the month of May. Sweet Justice, a sound design company from the southern shores of the UK. They've worked on some of the biggest AAA titles, the most refreshing indie titles, and collaborated with the best development teams in the world. Our gifted sponsor this month is the Able Gamers Foundation, a nonprofit charity that aims to improve the overall quality of life for those with disabilities through the power of video games, creating opportunities that enable play in order to combat social isolation, foster inclusive communities, and improve the quality of life for people with disabilities. The link to donate is in the description. El Fenis. Car Keys Express. If you need a replacement car key or a remote, check out carkeysexpress.com/store. Use the coupon code EasyA at checkout for free shipping and 10% off of your order. They are proud sponsors of Easy Allies. Hogue Law Business Law Firm. Whether you're starting a business at level 1, stuck fighting the dreaded fundraising boss, or finally cashing out with a well-earned high score, you need a good business lawyer at your side, or at least that Good Business Lawyer's YouTube and podcast series, Virtual Legality. This week in Virtual Legality, Hogue discusses deceptive advertisement claims against Ubisoft and The Division 2, the business deal behind the Microsoft-Sony Gaming Alliance, and of course, the finale of Game of Thrones. Check it all out at youtube.com/HOEG Law or on your favorite podcast service. Fangamer, makers of officially licensed merchandise for games like Dark Souls, Hollow Knight, Stardew Valley, Undertale, Katamari Damacy, and Persona 5. Not to mention Easy Allies t-shirts. Their newest products include the Hollow Knight Collector's Edition for Switch, PS4, and PC, a Prince and Katamari magnetic plush, and a Sans hoodie from Undertale. Check out their store at fangamer.com. Girls Make Games. Did you know that by 3rd grade, girls begin to lose confidence in their math and technical abilities? And by 7th grade, they're no longer interested in a career related to technology like software development. That's where Girls Make Games comes in. They offer summer camps across the US and in the UK and offer up to 100% financial assistance across all locations. Girls Make Games is on a mission to empower and inspire the next generation of designers, creators, and engineers. For more info and to support this mission, visit girlsmakegames.com. Uniqlo. Uniqlo is a Japanese fashion brand aiming to change the world through the power of clothing. With a focus on high quality and innovative textiles, Uniqlo is redefining everyday clothing by increasing the functionality of your wardrobe at an affordable price. They call it Lifewear Made for All. Visit uniqlo.com/EasyA to check out their collections, including new and upcoming graphic t-shirt collaborations with Nintendo, Star Wars, Street Fighter, Monster Hunter, and many more. That's uniqlo.com/EasyA. And our mega sponsor, Heroic Replicas. The fine folks at Heroic Replicas design and fabricate true-to-form, high-quality replicas and props. From legendary gear to keepsakes or all-metal creations, Heroic Replicas can make something special for you. Through the month of May, Heroic Replicas is auctioning off 4 unique items, one each week, with proceeds going directly to fund future months of sponsorship of Easy Allies. This week, the Chris Sword. You've never heard of the Chris Sword? Well, excuse me, princess. The Chris Sword is the magical short sword belonging to Link from the Legend of Zelda animated series. This replica features a cast resin hilt, a stainless steel blade, and holographic accents. This design is retiring after the auction, making this replica the last of its kind. Bidding on the Chris Sword starts at $1, and the auction ends Tuesday, May 28th. If you missed last week's auction, the Mermaid's Pendant, you can learn more by following @HeroicReplicas on Twitter. And don't forget to retweet the auction link if you'd like to help support Heroic Replicas and Easy Allies. All of these links are available in the description. Thank you to our sponsors.
Thank you, sponsors.
Thank you.
Brad repping that Uniqlo this week.
That's right.
Nice.
You're
wearing the same shirt you wore last week.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I wore this shirt last week.
Yes, because the green was on the table. And
It was
you said
on
it's the same green.
on my laptop.
Oh, your laptop is the sticker.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I'm tripling
So you're
down.
doubling down
baby.
on the green with your
Branding.
shirt. Got it.
Branding, merchandise, money.
Hollow Knight.
Yeah, is your thing from Fangamer too?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so Ben's wearing a Hollow Knight hoodie.
Nice.
Jones not
Jones?
supporting the sponsors.
No.
Where's that
Jones
shirt
is
even
supporting
come from?
I got my own style going on, okay? I'm
have-
sponsoring myself.
The stitch is weird on the shoulders, man. Is that a fashionable thing?
Yes,
an older
that's
shirt.
normal.
Okay.
All right.
Look at your
It's an older
stitching
shirt. The
on your
color's
shirt,
fading a little
Kyle.
bit.
Yeah,
I
it's
gotta-
nice. My shirt has nice stitching.
I gotta swap this out. I gotta get some new shirts.
It's just a little wrinkly, that's all.
It's all falling apart.
Jones, to listeners,
Also green.
his shirt looks great. His shirt looks great, listeners. So E3 preview. I'm excited about this because look, we're in the second half of the podcast, but we're going to talk about maybe two publishers that we don't have too much to talk about. Of course, beginning with EA, who this year will not even have a press conference. EA at E3 this year is going to be off-site. They're doing their own thing. They're doing EA Play, and in replacement of doing a press conference, they're just gonna be live streaming gameplay and talks and discussions and interviews and stuff like that. Maybe a good call because the only primarily we're just gonna be talking about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. That is probably there's probably not gonna be a game announcement. It's probably just gonna be showing that game off a lot at E3,
Yeah.
which is not a bad thing, right?
Nope.
To me, it's like Breath of the Wild. Just like go nuts with it.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing, but EA is definitely a publisher that I feel exhausted by. like I feel like I kind of need a break from them, just talking about them. Because like the Battlefront 2, and there's probably better examples I can bring up than this, but the Battlefront 2 thing was exhausting. The Anthem was exhausting. It's just been a little exhausting.
I think that's probably why, they're working on Dragon Age. It's probably like, this is no way in shape ready to be shown at all. So
Yep.
we're not going to even bother.
Let's lay low.
Yeah, they should lay low.
I think streaming works also because obviously they're going to have Madden, obviously they're going to have FIFA. Like there's going to be these humongous, huge money earning franchises that they have, that they do every year that people can count on, that as far as I know are still from what I learned reading sports reviews back in game trailers is that the later you get in the gen, usually the less they start to screw up. Like it's really the beginning of the gen that you fear and potentially avoid. But I imagine both FIFA and Madden are in a probably a pretty good place. And they, even with Star Wars, there's some people that are not interested in Star Wars. There's some people that actively hate Star Wars, and so I don't think they're interested in at all in what EA has to offer. But I think it's smart for a company like EA to tune in at 11 for this, tune in at 1 for this, tune in at 3 for this, so that the audience for that will show up, and we're not going to get this room of people who are all just firing. And you got your Command & Conquer people over there, you got your Star Wars fans over here, you got your Dragon Age people just waiting for some sort of tease. I think it's smart. It's less exciting.
Yeah.
It's less. It feels less like the Super Bowl, but it's probably smart for that company.
Do you think? So last year we saw the debut of that Command & Conquer game, the mobile game that was like hex-based.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Will we see
The only live demo.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see like a thing like that?
They're playable?
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe something small playable.
Because
there.
I wonder how much of it is, hey, we need to fill a press conference, and I wonder how much of it is we're really excited to announce this thing and show this to people.
Is it playable if nobody plays it?
Yeah.
It is. It is.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. I mean, I do also expect at least some discussion about the EA originals. To be clear about that, that is like EA's indie label, basically.
Right.
Where we saw Unravel 1 and 2,
Way Out?
and A Way Out.
The best parts.
Yeah. And the only other one announced for that is Sea of Solitude. That is the fifth EA original. I don't know if we'll see just that emphasized heavily, if we'll see more EA originals announced.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
Yes.
More smaller scale stuff? That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
They've picked some great things.
Yeah.
And usually there's like 3 or 4 minutes spent on some sort of EA initiative toward the end of their press conferences. We're like, hey, we're giving this money to this fund, or we're developing an insane AI program. And so we won't have to deal with that this year. That's kind of nice. But I do wonder if we'll see the results of any of those investments, or if that's just a thing that was just, again, filling up a press conference.
I do think it's immensely exciting regardless, I guess, of how you feel about Star Wars, that the thing that EA is kind of using to anchor E3 this year is a Respawn game.
Sure.
Like that's
Heck yeah.
Yes.
yes.
What do we envision the demo? What are we envisioning?
I mean, like wall running. Just
Yes.
because Respawn, I
Right,
just
right.
immediately go to that. Yeah.
Getting out of the city.
Yeah, it's going to be an escape.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's going to be lots of running.
Hey, you over there.
Yes.
Character reveal probably at the end. At the end, there'll be a cutscene or something, and like, oh, it's Chewie or something. You know,
No,
there'll be something.
no.
It's
Oh, were
Jar
you
Jar,
nuts,
dude.
dude?
Do you think that's coming? Do you
Oh,
think
yeah.
they'll have?
It's gonna be like.
Oh,
It's
man.
gonna be like Bosk Jones.
Are you
or
kidding,
something.
dude? Between 3 and 4, that is prime. They're everywhere. You have everybody.
like the
you have
younger versions of
everyone.
them
You
too?
have
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
You got
Hoping it's Watto.
You see Chewie,
you got Obi-Wan.
and then there's a screen where it goes pre-order today to get access to Chewie scenes.
Pre-order to place Han Solo.
Battlefront 2 was super cheap recently. I think because of May the 4th. I got that. Brad had warned me. He said, like, the campaign, dude, don't play that. And there's like lots of cheap appearances from Star Wars characters.
It's just like
I was still unprepared.
It's cool because like, would you like? I'm gonna spoil, I guess, a few things. You play as like Luke at a part, and you're like, dude,
It's super early.
You're like, sick, awesome, I'm Luke Skywalker, and it's just like,
You're chopping bugs.
it's just kind of boring, dude.
Luke Skywalker.
Brad, I played that section of that game and I forgot that I had played it.
Yeah, I was like,
I forgot that
let's
it was
go,
even in the
dude.
game.
Return of the Jedi, Luke, let's
Yeah.
go, dude. And it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
The climax of that scene is chopping bugs.
It's about as exciting as like an auto scroller.
Yeah.
in
it
a-
was.
I was just like,
That's too
okay,
crazy.
yeah.
So
Okay.
to that point, Jones, I really don't want to see any established characters in
Luke
this game.
Skywalker will talk to you via hologram. But
the thing- okay.
It's happening. It's happening.
So Titanfall 2.
Or not Luke.
Wait,
no,
he's
no.
a baby.
Not Luke.
Right?
Yeah. Maybe Yoda. Maybe Yoda will chime in.
Okay.
On
Maybe
his cell
more
phone
Obi-Wan,
on
dude.
Dagobah.
I would think more Obi-Wan.
One of the most exciting things about Titanfall 2 in the campaign is that it was just full of ideas, man.
Yes.
They were trying to do things differently. They were trying to make it special.
Yeah.
And if that same mentality is applied to Star Wars,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
You know what, Ben?
Yes.
That one really cool sequence where they're like building a house, piece by piece. The house factory of Titan. They can just put that in this
Oh,
game.
yeah.
No one would complain.
Some droid.
A lot of people would think it was
assembly
new. A lot of people would be like, "Wow, this is really cool and innovative." And anybody who played that before would be like, "Yeah, this is. I'll play it again." Easily.
Right.
It's like it's just one of the best video game levels. It's really truly cool. And you're right. I should be excited about that. It is different teams. We'll recognize that. But yeah, there's good reason to trust.
There's going to be an
Respawn
Imperial factory.
amaze you.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. There's going to be TIE fighters being built in Star Destroyers.
This demo is going to be strongly reliant on us loving this main character. Like, I feel that EA thinks that's established already. Like, I think EA is going to kind of start, okay, we're continuing with what you saw a
think
little
it's
bit of
relying on
before with this character who we know you're all now madly in love with.
Do you
And it's
remember his
like,
name?
Not really. No,
Star
C,
Killer.
C something. Cade, Case, Caesar, something.
It is C something.
It starts, no, it
But that's
starts
what I
with C.
mean, Jones. Like we're not attached to that
I,
character.
I feel like there are
Yeah.
many games that I like a lot and do not care one
Yeah.
bit about who I'm playing as.
What's the main character of Titanfall 2?
I don't
I
think
don't
you even
remember
have
Exactly.
one.
Yeah.
It's like about your robot buddy.
Because the
more.
robot buddy does say your name. You do have a name. I do
Shepard.
forget. Yeah. Shepard. I got you, buddy.
Prepare for Titanfall, Shepard.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say besides like they're going to show Star Wars Jedi. It's going to be cool. We'll be talking about it post E3.
It's going to look great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is one thing we don't have to worry about at all. Is it is going to be maybe the prettiest Star Wars game we've ever seen.
What do you think the release date will be?
November?
It's November.
yeah,
Brad,
yeah,
you nailed
yeah,
it first
yeah.
try. Yep, you're right. Let's talk about Bethesda, who is doing a press conference again this year. I think these two games are going to headline it, Doom Eternal and Wolfenstein Youngblood. Those were both announced last year. They were brand new announcements, still unreleased. Youngblood imminent, July 26th there's a release for that. Doom Eternal still 2019. So both these games coming out this year. I just like, hey,
Sick.
spend your hour on those two games.
What a weird position Bethesda is in. It's like bizarre.
Yeah.
Because you're right, they have Youngblood and Doom Eternal, both of which I personally think look fantastic. And then you've got like things that are like running in the background, but presumably
Starfield?
doing quite well, like Elder Scrolls Online. Right?
Oh, right.
Sure.
New expansion, right?
Right. So you've got those two things, and then you just have like the train wreck that was Fallout 76.
Just like, the garbage seeping into the press con.
And it's like a weird mixture of things. It's a weird mixture of feelings, I think.
Even that their mobile game turned out, the Elder Scrolls mobile game turned out raw trash too.
Right. Blades.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Boy, I never
I don't
thought
know.
about
I don't know
it.
how you get out and because you gotta. How do you wrangle all of those things and address them, and have that be smooth?
Will they address Fallout in any way? Do you think?
Dude, that's what I'm wondering. I didn't think about that until this very moment. Will Fallout 76 be mentioned at the Bethesda E3
that was a
2019
disaster.
press conference?
Disaster on every single front of that game. Everything.
I think you got to skip it.
Like giving out those bags or whatever that were trash.
Yes.
Like they were not like canvas art they're supposed to be.
You got to swallow your pride. You got to just not bring it.
That's what I would do, but I don't know if
is
they
that
will.
really the right call? Because they're gonna talk to people at E3. They're gonna be interviews, and then if they don't mention Fallout 76 at all, like they're trying to promote their new thing, and then the interviewer's like, "Hey, so what are you guys doing with Fallout?"
Yeah.
That's gonna come up.
I know. I'm positive because I'm sure when it launched, before they saw everybody hating their game, they had a roadmap. I'm sure they expected to support this game for more than 1 year.
Oh my God, they were so confident, like how they were talking about this game.
So there has to be plans somewhere. I don't know if they've dropped them yet or not. I think it's a good bet that they actually will talk about Fallout 76 in this. I would just tell them not to. I would advise them not to, but I think they're going to.
Ben's got a really good point, though. It's an elephant in the room. You have to address it.
Similarly, does EA address Anthem? I think EA is going to go heavy on Anthem too. I bet we're going to see some
I'm
expansion
sure
for
there'll be
Anthem.
some.
Yeah.
Now's the
turn it
time to
around.
let everybody know. You got
Yeah.
this venue. You got people there that can demo, talk about it, talk about their, tweet how fun it is.
For some reason, I'm less confident that EA would lean into Anthem than Bethesda would lean into Fallout.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. That's a weird thing to say, I think, but
I mean, Anthem is behind on its updates. It's behind on its roadmap, so it might not be the best time to say more is coming, right? When you
Right.
haven't caught up to what you were promised already.
yeah, exactly. Like, what if you're not ready to say anything? Like, what can you really get out there and champion with Anthem?
I wonder if Bethesda's just going to be like, look, we're looking forward into the future. We're looking past that. We're going to Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6. That's where we're focused on right now. Because it is doing Doom, and Machine Games is doing Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
So it's like it's like Bethesda publishing them, as far as I'm aware.
And I think they just got to lean heavy on those two games.
Yeah,
because
they look awesome.
Yes.
Or we get the whole revamp initiative. Just this. We heard you with Fallout 76.
Jones, when they did
Good
that,
news, everybody.
Good luck selling this. Keep coming.
We're turning
Keep
this
it coming.
ship around.
Okay, how?
How? I
Yes.
didn't make this video game.
You're talking right now?
I've never played a minute of it. But I could see them doing it. I could see them taking this opportunity. They got their press conference and being like, okay.
I think
what if it was good though?
Yeah.
Like that.
With quests.
That kind of a trailer.
I don't know what you add, man.
the number one thing I do not think I can handle.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I can just sit there and swallow it. Is if Todd Howard comes out and is cute about it.
Yes.
I can't handle Todd Howard being cute about this video game.
Like, I read on the internet
Right,
that our
like-
games have bugs. If he says that, I'll turn it off.
So we went on that country road and it was a little bumpy. Like, I can't
I will
handle
unplug
it.
our Ethernet so none of us can watch that.
Yes.
I'll run out of the room and just
Boss was in the router room freaking out right now. Somebody stop.
a bumpy road.
I bet they'll have new stuff for it, but they will not acknowledge any of the problems that happened before.
And it won't be playable at E3.
Sure.
You will not be able to touch the new content
Well,
coming to Fallout
it's
76
not playable
at the
now,
show.
so.
Oh, here's 500 Adam for all of you. They did that. They actually did that. You can't even buy anything in the store for $5. Maybe you could buy a floor plan or something.
Mm-hmm.
God.
Actually, I don't want to move on yet. Bethesda is big. I mean, is there anything else that we might see an announcement of?
Brand new? No.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or maybe a mobile game.
the thing is it's kind of balancing your expectation of okay, they said Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 are in the distance.
Right. I don't think we'll see them at E3.
Yeah, but
yeah.
is there a chance that we see anything? Do they talk about it? I don't know. Maybe.
They could show a concept of what Starfield is, I guess.
Sure. Tango GameWorks is still working on something.
Right.
They're usually 3 years apart from their games, so I don't honestly
Within?
expect to see an announcement until Evil Within 1 to 2. There's a 3-year gap.
3 for Huber.
Yeah, they're working on something. I bet like another horror game that isn't titled
maybe,
Evil
brand
Within. But yeah, I bet we won't see that till next year because I think they'll probably want to do another announce to release same year. So I don't know.
I think 2 years isn't 2 games is enough for the rest of the year for them probably.
Yeah.
I also just really, for the record, I just love the position that Doom Eternal and Wolfenstein Youngblood are in. We all know what they're about. You know, in the case of Doom, we've seen a fair amount. Like we know the fun stuff. We know there's definitely going to be more. They've teased a couple other things. I just love that going into E3. It's kind of like where we are with Jedi Fallen Order, where we're like we know enough to be interested. You know, and to know that the next thing we see is probably going to be a blowout. You know, It's probably going to be something big.
Like when we're talking about Microsoft, we're going to be like, what if the whole time? And Banjo! And I don't really have that feeling with Bethesda. I don't have what if. Yeah.
Do we know what Arcane is working on?
No.
They could do Dishonored 3 or probably maybe something brand new.
I
don't know how well Dishonored 2 did.
That's
I'm
the
not
thing.
sure.
It did great reviews wise.
You're right.
They might need to work on a new franchise.
Oh man, I love Dishonored.
Heck
But
yeah.
like, if they're stoked, yeah.
You'd Prey as well.
Oh right, yeah, Prey.
Yeah, and so like what they announced like the Moon DLC for Prey last year. Was that an announcement?
Yeah.
And like so Youngblood is like it's I think a fully fledged game, but it costs $30. They with the price point created an expectation there. So maybe we might see more add-ons to games that already exist that have a shorter development cycle. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That Evil
Fill the
Within
gaps,
2
baby.
DLC, it's actually happening. You did it. That Evil Within
That'd
2
be
DLC.
incredible.
That would be too nuts.
Evil Within Youngblood.
Hey,
Hey.
if it's standalone, go for it.
Oh man, I'm there.
Go nuts. Cool. It is now time for Love and Respect.
Love and respect.
Okay. Okay. Current events. Sup, allies.
Sup.
Sony announced that their new PlayStation Productions, which will be producing TV film projects based on their PlayStation video game franchises, a Twisted Metal show was announced today. I was wondering, what games the allies would like to see turn into a TV series or movie? I suggest a Parappa the Rapper movie, because when Jet Baby can fly, she flies forever. All love and respect, Mark Paris.
This happened? A Twist Metal show was announced?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of when I clicked this, is like, that's insane.
Yeah. How crazy is that? Dude.
Wait, Jones, are you excited for this?
Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, dude, I wanted them to do a Twisted Metal movie forever.
Okay, but a TV
Especially
series.
after like Black. It's just like yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Jones, help me with this.
A TV series is weird.
Tell me about the pilot. Tell me about episode 3, and then tell me about the season finale of season 1. What do you do with this?
Okay, so it's about this tournament. So you have to have somebody. Well, think about it like Mortal Kombat. You think about like you have this tournament that happens. And you have other people that are invested. Some people are lifers. They're like, I'm hundreds of years old. I've been in this tournament forever. You have some people like Johnny Cage. Who are like, no, I'm just a normal guy who's good at fighting, and I want to beat these other people. I want to be good. I want to be known for winning this tournament.
Johnny has powers, but okay.
So your first episode is last year's tournament. The first episode is the aftermath. You see this tournament. You see the person who wins. They get screwed hardcore because that's what Calypso likes to do. He likes
Monkey's
to
paw, baby. Yep.
Watch careful the wording, like Kyle with bets, and then we meet the character. Then we meet your protagonist who is going to be involved in this, but doesn't necessarily know a lot about it. So you're using this person as your exposition funnel, where like this person's going and meeting people that are competitors in this race.
Who's the normalist Twisted Metal character?
When I thought of the movie, I thought of I'm trying to think. He's the guy who has like the Mad Max car in the first Twisted Metal.
Okay.
It's like Outsider or something.
Sure.
I can't remember his name, but he didn't really have an identity. I think it was like an undercover cop in one game or something.
Yeah, there was
like,
a cop. There's cops in the game.
There is a police officer in the first game
Is
as well.
Twister the IndyCar driver?
Yes.
She was cool.
She's not gonna make it out alive, dude.
Okay, so she's not a main character.
No, I don't think she's featured as
think
much.
Jones right.
Like
Like,
they
it's
could
so
do.
You're digging into Calypso. You're trying to find out who Calypso is because there is this imminent tournament that is coming to Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, somewhere.
Oh, so I don't even have a wish. I want to take Calypso down.
Well, your wish is to take down Calypso, and some people have tried in the
Yes.
games before. That's been their thing. I'm here for you, Calypso. And then if you have 10 episodes, 7, 8, 9, 10 are all the tournament. Maybe 7, 8, 9 are the tournament 10s that fall out.
Does Sweet Tooth speak?
Yes, he's talked a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's giggling and laughing and
He's
shouting
talked a lot,
through
man.
through the loudspeaker.
Giggling and
They
laughing.
might make him more like Black, like just more psychopath killer.
I feel like the tone of the show is going to be black.
Yeah.
Be kind of fun if Calypso's not actually a part of the tournament, like Sweet Tooth.
Yeah.
So like Calypso's like, I've had enough of you, dude. You're crazy, and Sweet Tooth just keeps,
I think you save that. I think the
drawn
Sweet
to
Tooth
it.
reveal is valuable, and I do
No,
think
man.
you save it.
You do the Dark Tooth reveal. Sweet Tooth's dad.
Nah.
That's the reveal, dude. I gotta kill my dad.
Yeah, if you start with Sweet Tooth, there's not a lot of there's nowhere to go.
There's
from
gonna
there.
be Mr. Grimm. 100% they're gonna have
Sure.
him. They'll
On the
probably
bike.
have Axel going in there, something like that.
Does Axel translate to the screen?
Sure.
This is gonna be a goofy show.
It's got to be goofy.
This is
Oh,
I
yeah.
really
gotta be
think
goofy.
It's
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
be goofy, man.
Very
Like,
over
Twisted
the
Metal
top.
is goofy.
Okay,
But-
so what other PlayStation franchises are ripe for television?
I think they could do Infamous with like the superhero craze, and like it could just be like a CW show, pretty much. There you go. That's it.
You say it as disparaging. It's
I'm just saying, like, there's the formula for you.
yeah.
Like, show the executives like Arrow, Flash, and like all those shows. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna make one like this.
guys named Cole.
Yeah.
They could do Cole or they could do Delson.
I would do Delson because Delson has friends. Yeah. I would do
Oh
Delson.
no, Cole had a friend, Zeke.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Clearly didn't play.
I did not play 1 or 2.
What?
No, I just
Okay,
played
okay.
Second Son.
Okay. Well,
I woefully missed that franchise as well. That
Yeah.
was a blind spot in my gaming
dude,
knowledge.
Infamous 2 is awesome.
I think you could do a cool Horizon show.
Yeah. That sounds high budget.
Yeah.
That sounds high budget.
Way too early too with the Horizon 2 coming. I don't know if you're gonna want to mess with having 2 people in your mind as that character.
But the backstory of Horizon is so good. I would
Leading
make
up
it.
to
I would.
it?
Yeah, I would make it take place close to present day.
Oh.
All the audio logs you're
Flesh
listening
that
to.
out?
Yeah.
Sure.
You could make a really good show with Horizon.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, dude.
Crash Bandicoot, obviously.
What do you mean? Obviously.
Crash animated series.
Has he
you
talked
kidding me?
before?
Yes, I saw him talking in a clip of like a Skylanders show.
Oh.
He had an Australian accent.
Really?
Yeah,
Sick.
That makes sense. He's a Bandicoot.
Still hoping for Sly Cooper some way. They had that movie announced that like never happened or anything like
Because
that.
Ratchet's kind of run its course. They had a movie.
Well, yeah.
Ratchet was in theaters. I don't.
Totally had its chance.
surprised
Did
if they
anyone
went
see
back.
that movie?
I
not.
bet Huber
Dude,
did
of
not
course
even
Huber
watch
did.
it.
I don't think Huber's seen it.
No, I
actually.
don't think
Dude,
Huber's
we
seen
should
it,
watch
yeah.
that.
Whoa.
They put cutscenes from the movie in the game in the reboot.
Oh, really?
So
Yeah.
I've seen a bunch of the movie.
Okay,
I've seen
we've-
too
we've
much of
seen
it.
it.
Yeah.
I've seen too much.
I've seen too much of
it.
that movie.
Twist Metal's so funny though. Wow, I completely missed that news.
You're
'Cause
stoked on it.
Well, Fury Road, man. Yeah, give me crazy stunts. Give me crazy car combat. Give me
Jones,
fuel,
I
give
don't
me
think
fire,
this is going to
give
be
me-
as good as Fury Road.
No, but
That
I
was
mean,
the right word to say, though. Now I'm intrigued.
But I mean, even it was still just a spectacle of a film.
Mm-hmm.
You take out acting and story, and like there's still a lot in Fury Road to
Yeah.
appreciate. And so it would be fun if it's something. I'm looking forward to a documentary explaining like the challenges that they had, with car combat. Like what elements of this is real, what elements are CG, what parts, what explosions are real versus animated.
The budget, man. That budget's got to be crazy.
Yeah, which is why there's going to be a lot of people like leaning on cars, having conversations.
I feel like we don't want Uncharted, right? We don't want that movie. We don't want that show.
The problem that I'm running into with a lot of these series is like I would want the show and the game, and a lot of these I just want the game.
Yes.
Like the storytelling
yeah.
is like good enough in the game that anything else would feel.
I mean, I think we all just want the game.
Right. I'm just saying, like,
everything.
I'm trying to think of something like Castlevania is a good example where it's like, okay, I have an attachment to this. I really care about this series, but because these games came out at a time, like the storytelling just wasn't there, and so there's a lot of flexibility to really flesh out these characters and present them in an interesting way. I'm trying to think of something like that, where it like could really benefit from this new interpretation.
Ninja Gaiden. Let's go. I know
Yes.
it's not. It's
Not Sony?
It's not Sony, but
They can work out the
Yeah,
deal.
let's go.
No, it's kind of interesting because like I am hard on Sony's franchises. I think that like PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale looked dumb because it's just like, oh, you have to like, you are really thin here. You know, I love Parappa the Rapper, but I just don't think they have like a stable of strong franchises. They recently had their investor meeting, investor day, in which they showed it was God of War, Last of Us, and Uncharted are basically their 3 biggest franchises right now, each selling over 10 mil or whatever. And it's pretty crazy to see them at that point. Those are their franchises. These pretty serious, like non-silly, non-goofy, like straight. Well, I don't know. I'm thinking of Last of Us when I say those, like pretty serious.
Right.
But yeah, God of War is serious at this point. Uncharted less so. But it's not. It's not Nintendo's top 3 franchises. It's not Microsoft's top 3 franchises. Like those 3 games do have like a common thread to them. And so yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Twisted Metal is the one they pick first, isn't it?
Yeah, it is kind of a weird pick. It's been a long time since we heard Twisted Metal too.
Yeah, I feel like there are a lot, kind of going off what you're saying though, there are a lot of franchises they could have picked where we would have said the same thing. It's like, oh, it's weird that they picked that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think they're smart not to touch Last of Us, not to touch Uncharted, not to touch
God of War.
Right, because it's like they announced a God of War TV show and it's just like, well, no, I'm just waiting for the
new
game. Yeah.
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 Cool. Yeah, fun question. Jones, sounds like you're more excited for that Twisted Metal
Oh,
show
yeah, I'm
than
all over
any of
that.
the ones that we came up with.
Spoiler mode, just me.
No, I'm in, dude.
After
I'm
last
in.
episode,
I'm in.
yeah?
I'm
All right,
in,
Brad,
baby.
all right.
Dude, I loved Twisted Metal back in the day. Except 3. 3 sucked.
One final thing. Curious if because they did like a little comic book, but like since Spider-Man was such a smash, I'm curious to see how Marvel treats that version of Spider-Man. Like there's a little nod to him in Spider-Verse. If you like look really carefully, like, oh yeah, there's the suit.
Gotcha.
But it'd be interesting if and especially considering this was Peter, very late in his life. Typically for Spider-Man, you could do like a prequel series. You could do something.
Sure. I kind of feel like Spider-Verse Sweatpants Spider-Man is like, hey, take notes. Let's just play a game as that guy.
Yeah.
Like he's just the best, man.
Dude, I don't know. It's not Sony like first party, but I would be so down for a Yakuza show if they like had the right tone for this show.
The Yakuza games are kind of a show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, dude. It worked.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
The fights would be cool, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
absolutely.
heat actions,
Yeah.
dude, in the show.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, of course, way down.
Advice time. Here we go. Hello, Easy Allies. I just bought and played My Pet Chimp for the DS, and I gotta say, not very fun.
Next question.
Every time at GameStop or a used game store, I always leave with a strange game I've never heard about, hoping to find a gem. It's been a year since I found anything good, and I'm starting to lose hope. Since the panelists are game experts, I gotta ask, what should I look for when browsing the thousands of random games at a used game store to increase my odds of finding a hidden gem? Thanks in advance. Dog friending.
It's hard to know what perspective this person is.
I'm disappointed that they're
from.
looking for gems. There's your first mistake.
Because, like, do they want to walk into the store and be like, okay, the only resources that I can use are what is presented in the store?
Yes.
That's very different than being like, okay, I'm going to watch stuff online and see and like, oh, this looks promising.
Don't do that. My advice is like, don't look online. Because if somebody's already, if it's just like, there's already like a Peanut Butter Gamer episode about that game. skip it.
Right.
It's not a hidden gem.
But there are enough games out there where there's not like widespread YouTube coverage of it.
Yeah.
But you can still watch a YouTube video and it could still be underreported on. You can still love it. Like, why not use those resources?
I do feel like there was a low chance of My Pet Chimp being a gem.
You know what?
Of course you would say that.
It
Yes,
sounds
of course.
cool. Like that sounds
No,
like a game.
it does
I'd be
not.
like, dude, My Pet Chimp?
No.
Like, am I gonna buddy up with this
No.
chimp and beat up dudes?
I hate chimps.
No.
Why? Chimps are dope.
You hate chips?
I hate chimps. They're sick. What's
What
wrong
is
with
there
you?
to hate?
if
They're
it's a-
nasty,
If it's a
man.
DS title with my in the, you
Yeah.
get run.
Ooh, that's
run.
a good tip.
Get out of there.
Yeah.
Skip most of my games.
Yeah.
I would say that's a fair tip.
Dude, go to the PS2 library, man. There's so many games.
I want to say this.
Pay attention to the user interface. Yeah, because if it's got like trash tier, they put in the most generic user interface possible. A lot of Wii games fall into this. You're not gonna have a good time.
Yeah. I feel like, Ben, I'm trying to think of a game that has bad UI, but you're right.
Yeah.
Man, it's a red flag, we'll say.
Right.
One thing I want to recommend, I know this sounds crazy, is licensed games. Because here's what I really like about licensed games. They got their world figured out. They got it all figured out. They have their characters figured out. They got their music figured out. They have their environments figured out.
They usually mess up those elements. Like, they may have them, but the reason people don't like licensed games is because they don't do it justice.
Sure. So I say hop into a licensed game you don't care about. Oh. So yeah, just like, okay, this is some Nick Jr. show? Fine. They got their characters figured out, I'm in, you know?
This is your method.
This is my method, right. It's like, I did not care about G-Force the movie. I don't care if they disparage
But you
the characters
love that
do.
game.
But I love that game.
This is life hacks.
It's a tip. It's a tip. If you're at give it a second look. Don't
makes
skip
sense
over
now,
Ant Bully. You see Ant Bully, don't look at it. Give it a shot. Like, I don't care if Ant Bully is turned into a bad adaptation. Like, who cares about Ant Bully? But it might be a cool game.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Yes,
Pick it up.
Yes.
You know what's surprisingly interesting, Brad?
What?
Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith for the Nintendo DS.
I never played
here
it.
we go.
Really interesting art style. It was really interesting seeing little sprites of like Anakin and Obi-Wan and just that stylistically I was like, oh, I appreciate that.
Cool. Somebody
from the ground up like drawing Anakin Skywalker.
Was this for the retro or did you just play that?
I included it in the retro for a hot second and played it more than I needed to.
Cool, Jones.
Because it was just once it was out of the capture unit, it was just in the DS on my desk. I was like, yeah, sure.
Do you think there's any merit in picking something that you've never heard of but has a high number to it?
Something
right? Because
it's a sequel.
I've never heard of this, but it got to this point.
Cooking
they
Mama
made
8.
7 of these.
Yeah, I do think there's some merit to that. Look for high numbers.
Look for high numbers.
Yeah. I think that you can tell some games are going to be boring. You can honestly sniff it out. You know what I mean? It's like never judge a book by its cover, but like you know what you like. And if you look at the back and see things, like it's obvious. I have no idea why you got My Pet Chimp. It really bothers me. Actually, at GameStop, DS games are not in boxes, so presumably you were just looking at the cartridge. Yeah.
It really kills the joy of like browsing games when you're just like staring through that glass, looking at the tiny cartridges, being like, "What is?" It's not fun.
Yeah. Cool. Those are our tips.
Sick.
Good luck. Good luck out there.
Good luck.
Good luck.
I mean it. I mean, a year with no hits is rough.
You got to rethink your picking
Also,
methods.
we need that list. I need that update. I want to know
Yeah,
every
please
single one
update
of those
us.
games that didn't pan out.
They're gonna get G-Force.
I want to know when it flips. I want to know when you get one right too. Okay. Total War 3 Kingdoms will be released on Thursday, May 23rd. How many user reviews will it have on Steam at this point next week?
Is this a question about Total War?
What is this?
Did I not say Total War 3 Kingdoms?
You did. We're changing topics to Total War 3 Kingdoms. I didn't know if this was a...
I said time for bets, did I not? Was I too smooth?
Time for bets.
Time for bets.
I was with you, man.
It's time
I was
for
with
bets.
you.
I was ready. I got the card.
Baby.
There's a way that it's supposed to be done.
We don't have you in for the lights. It's just, why bother? We used to have lighting changes. It used to flame up in here.
It didn't say the thing.
Flame up.
Flame on. Jones, what do you think, dude? How many user reviews?
80.
Oh.
I don't know.
So you think this game is going to bomb?
No, I just think it seems like a deep game. I don't think this is gonna be something people are gonna be turning around with that user review right away.
Oh, people don't need.
No, I know that's not. I know.
I would say fewer than 1% of people finish the game before their user review. Okay, 80's your bet, man. That's
Black
my
and white
teammate right there. Okay, Ben.
Yeah, Steam reviews are hard to gauge. I don't know how many they're going to be, but I put 733.
Nice. Brad?
I have no idea about Steam reviews. Also, I don't really check them out, so I said 80 also.
What?
Yeah.
Brad, there's no way.
There's a way.
What?
No way.
Yeah. 80, baby.
How did you and Jones both fall in 80, the most unlikely possible number?
Because we're both winners, dude.
We're gonna lose this so hard, Brad.
No,
I can't
you're
wait.
gonna win. I know it. 1,602 is my bet. Let me
You
lock
think
those
people
in.
are gonna 1,600?
When I did mine, I was like, I should have gone higher, and now I'm seeing 80.
Yeah, because I don't know. Every time I don't bring up that game, there is 80 people who are mad at me in the comments.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all of them.
It definitely has a sizable audience.
Yeah. I do think last week might be the last time we talk about Total War 3 Kingdoms. It may never come up on the podcast again.
No, it will.
Yeah, you're right. Somehow it will.
Bloodworth.
Last week's bet was about the Game of Thrones finale.
Oh.
We wanted to bet on viewership, how many viewers it would have, because the penultimate episode had 18.4. Huber bet the finale would have 21 million. Damiani said 21.5 million. I said 21 million. Jones, what was it?
19 something?
Yeah, 19.3. Good job, Jones. So both Huber and I got a point.
Ooh.
Yep. Do you think they expected a bigger bump? 18.4 to 19.3. You're getting close to $1 million. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Once Huber and I talked it through, we're like, oh, Damiani's gonna win. It's probably gonna spike. Finales usually spike hard, and this was kind of just like, still a record for HBO. Congratulations, you did a good job. You did a job. You got it done.
You did the job.
You got it done. You made money.
That means losing.
It aired. That brings our totals to Scrappy Little Pigs 11. Gorgeous Gorillas 10. Let me tell everybody about patreon.com/easyallies. That would be what? Yeah. Does that sound good? Oh, yeah. That's a good sounding URL. That'd be the website you go to if you want to support the Easy Allies, find out the types of things we do and the types of things we can do for you. Listeners of this podcast would like to probably note that, hey, if you give $5 or more a month, you can submit to Love and Respect and Glenny's Cauldron, but also you get this podcast 2 days early, Wednesdays, as opposed to Fridays. Ben, you are in the Huber seat, so you and I are going to have to draft... hold on a second.
Oh, man.
Here we go. Complications.
No, I just got an IM for Carcerara.
Oh, what? I think you blocked them.
He keeps finding a way. He makes up a new username.
Dude, we need to IP ban him.
So he says he's excited to have the 4 lowercase letters in his game. He's really pumped about that.
I'm going all caps and I'm not looking back in his game. I don't care.
You can't.
I think you can't use lowercase.
You're forced into lowercase.
Do you think Kazarara
okay, it's fine. That's fine.
Uses a Zune and tells everybody about it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very hipster, very proud of that,
I actually had a friend that used a Zune. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I didn't know anyone that had a Zune except him.
Okay. How long did that person use the Zune for?
Years.
Years?
And I was just like, it was like...
Was it a matter of pride?
I think it was like a mistake and they knew it. But that's just what they had. They were just doing with the best of what they had.
Okay. You know what? Yes. I had a Sony mini disc player that was kept around for way too long. Yeah. I had a Juke for my cell phone that I kept on for too long. I get that. I absolutely get that. Ben, we get to draft rights and responsibilities. Okay. Final word, video you want to promote, Twitter handle, sign off. Go ahead and take first pick.
I'll do video you want to promote.
Cool. I'll take final word.
What else is there?
Twitter handle and sign off.
I'll do sign off.
Okay. Well, I am at Kyle Bossman. Haven't tweeted in quite a while. Maybe I'll muster up the courage to do it soon. Video you would like to promote?
This last week, we just premiered the Devil May Cry retrospective.
Jones was hoping for it, man.
Yeah. And a lot of time was spent on that. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I think even if you don't care about Devil May Cry, I think it's a fun video that, we don't get to do things like that too often. And so when we do, it's kind of exciting. So check that out.
For my final word, I have to make an apology. Very early in this podcast, I generalized Europe because I didn't want to call out an individual country, and then I did a generic European accent where I'm like, what accent represents Europe? And I have to say, I'm sorry it went to that. We were talking about
I don't even remember this.
Sexual standards, right? And the father who was proud to show how he pleasured that woman to his child.
Right.
He had a generic.
Why do you say it in the weirdest way? Why do you say it in the weirdest way?
He had a generic European accent that I was like, they'll never be able to place this. No one could be individually offended because I didn't call anyone out individually.
Right.
But I realized in saying European and making a generic accent equally as offensive.
Yeah.
I'm just as bad as that dad who is rotating the analog sticks and making eye contact with his child.
Worse.
Worse even.
Why do you have to spin
He
it
did
like
that in the comfort of his own home.
Give this dad a break, dude.
Ben, go ahead. Sign us off.
Sophie is our supreme ruler.
Sexy.